right, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise, glory, and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachahakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of great millstone who grew well. Peace and blessings to the 144,000, the hopeful elect. Shalom, Barakatham. And good times bring weak men. You know, that's the thing that's on my spirit right now as I'm watching the news between work. You know, I wanted to stress that point, because a lot of people in America have been at ease, you know, enjoying the comforts of this society, all right, ever since 2020, when they shut down basically the whole world. You got a sneak peek of a window of what Esau, not only what he's capable of doing, but what he's willing to do. Okay, he's willing to force people to do things that they don't really want to do, and he's willing to bankrupt people. 2/3 of small businesses went down basically in 2020. All right, and now the top 1% have gained, doubled to triple their wealth at the same time. So that money was basically a transfer of wealth. All right, and none of the people took heed. You know, that's what the scriptures say. They did not consider the latter end. You know, because that's you people. And now Donald Trump, you know, has had Liberation Day, and all of his people are in an uproar, man. I'm watching the markets today. It's bounced a tiny bit, but it's still down, man. It's still getting hammered. Now, usually what offsets a stock market dip like this is a lot of people that already have a lot of money, like rich people. They'll wait for the market to dip 10 or 15% like this, and then they'll go in and buy. And when they buy it in large volume, that causes the price to go back up again, and it stabilizes, but it's not stabilizing. And I believe that it's going to get a lot worse, because the tariffs may be the catalyst for this, but if a quarter of this goes by, you know, like let's say like July is still going on, and that second quarter results start posting, and people are posting real losses on their balance sheets, you know, or at least a downturn in their projections. Well, those prices are going to be permanent. Those stock prices are going to be permanent, and then people are going to start to get laid off, because Esau doesn't care about how much money he has in the bank. Okay, he can have $200 billion in cash at a company, and if his stock price goes down, that doesn't affect how much cash he's got in the bank account. But if the stock price goes down, he'll still lay you off. Okay, he'll still lay you off, because his personal wealth is tied into those stocks. Okay, even though he's got the money to continue to pay people to ride out the storm, he's not going to do it. All right, so you people have a lot coming your way. Okay, you have a rude awakening in front of you. You know, because what the scriptures say in Isaiah 32, you know, rise up, ye careless daughters that are at ease. You know, in many years you shall be troubled, and the vintage shall fail. You know, roughly paraphrasing. You know, and the vintage is definitely failing. A lot of these jobs that are getting ready to get cut are gonna affect a lot of these women, man. A lot of these fads, these things that were popular. All right, people are gonna stop getting into that, man. You know, there's a few things that's quote unquote recession proof, but even still, they may go belly up, man. Because remember, certain industries rely on certain other industries, man. You have primary industries, you have tertiary industries, you have secondary industries. Okay, and if one of the primary industries goes down, you know, a primary industry is something that's closer to the earth, basically. Like they make a raw material like a steel or lumber or wood, you know, or they do something that's close. And then you got other companies that may buy the wood, and they may have another industry. Maybe they build homes. Okay, that would be secondary, because they don't make the wood or produce the wood, but they buy it. Okay, and they all start having these domino effects, you know. And so nobody can really make heads or tails of it, but everybody knows it's not good, you know. And at the same time, you know, geopolitical tensions are going up. You know, I just watched a guy do the video, Orlando Minor. He said he left They left Russia and North Korea off the list for tariffs, you know? And that, I found that very interesting, you know? And because one of the reasons why is because America gets almost 100% of its uranium from Russia, okay? And a few other things too, okay? And Russia is supplying a lot of money, not money, but gas and liquefied natural gas to Europe, you know? Because we don't live in a U.S. economy anymore. We live in a global economy, okay? What happens in Japan, it matters what happens over here in America now. They're holding hella U.S. debt, you know? And Trump is getting proud as hell doing all of this. You know, wanting to make a name for himself, a legacy, but in his pride, he's gonna make the whole thing crumble, man. And the most beautiful part is a lot of these people you hear in America, you lost sight of that, man. Okay, you were pursuant to Isaiah 47. You thought you would sit a lady forever, but you're not. Now, things may recover. Trump has been known to be double-minded and change his mind on things, you know. It could be a play, you know, but ultimately we know this thing is going down economically first, or the money system is going to be changed, because that's what the charagma goes into, you know, and why everybody here is just, you know, lollygagging around, you know. A lot of lower class people are not really fronting it too much because they don't have money in the stock market, or they don't really have money in the 401k, or if they do, they don't have a significant amount. So they're not worried about it. But guess what? These companies are worried about it. All right, when they start letting your ass go, all right, and then you try to go get a regular menial job, and they ain't hiring like that, you know, and then they start raising the price, you know, then y'all are gonna feel it. Then you're gonna cry out, just like 2020, man. But it's too late, because y'all already flinched in 2020, and they already know that they got your ass. When Esau rolls out this charagma, which is gonna come soon, Lord's will is this year, this month, you know. We don't know exactly, but we know it's coming, and we know that it's soon, okay? When he rolls this out, a lot of you are just gonna immediately take it. Y'all are gonna be so hungry, all right? So scared of where your next meal is coming from, so worried about, you know, your kids, you know, that you're gonna just take it, and it's gonna be easy, man. And then there's gonna be another group of people that are more stubborn, or they had savings, or they're gonna ride things out. Then he's gonna bring out the stick, okay? Then he's gonna start penalizing people. Then you're gonna start seeing 2nd Ezra the 15th chapter come to pass, you know. And this is why we watch and we wait diligently, man. You know, everybody that's talking in the news right now, you know, they weren't talking about this months ago. They're only talking about it right now because it's affecting them right now, because everybody's distracted, they're deluded, you know. And that's how the Most High wants you people, man. Especially you camps that know that you're Israelites. All right, you focusing on debating, all right, running a business. The Lord is gonna yank that from you, okay? And so Liberation Day was a beautiful thing as far as we see it, because it's revealing, man, you know. And now it's gonna be Esau snitching on one another, man, okay? Because I thoroughly believe that there's a civil war within the house of Esau right now as we speak, okay? They're fighting back and forth, and they're agreeing on particular things, but they're fighting over other things, you know. And eventually that's going to come to a head where Revelation the 17th chapter is going to come to pass. And when that happens, we're out of here. Meaning the EU, the European Union, and the rest of people that hold nuclear weapons are going to launch them, okay? And by that time, all hell's breaking loose over here stateside, okay? If you don't have the Lord in that day, you're through, you know? So we'll keep an eye on it. You know, we'll report more and filter these things through the scriptures from a prophetical standpoint. All right, we're not telling you, we're not giving you financial advice here, man. We're not giving you medical advice here, okay? We're telling you what the Lord said is going to happen, and we're watching and we're warning. And those that have ears to hear will hear it, and those that don't, they'll shrug it off, or they won't watch it at all, which is fine. Okay, because when the Lord lifts up the standard for us and not for y'all, it's gonna be a horrific death, man. You know. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. On to the next. Shalom.